going to be looking at what I think are the 10 best WWE matches in all of 2023. 2023 gave us some fantastic shows and some fantastic storylines and even better matches. I dare say that this was the most consistently good year from beginning to end in WWE when it comes to in-ring work that I've seen in the past 20 years. And with it came some absolutely banger matches, and we're going to be talking about the 10 that stood out the most to me. Now, I'm going to be keeping NXT matches off of this list. I might do a separate video for top 10 NXT matches, because otherwise this top 10 list would be mostly NXT, because NXT was absolutely fantastic this year. So again, we're going to keep this to main roster matches only. And hey, as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications if you're a wrestling fan. I know you're going to fall in love with this channel because we upload daily wrestling content. And before we get started, I just want to make it clear this is purely my opinion. I'm not saying that these are objectively the best matches of the year. I just think that these matches are fantastic and are some of the ones that stood out to me. If you've got a different list, if you disagree, that's what the comment section is for. All right, let's jump into it. At number 10, I'm going to be starting off with the only non-premium live event match of this entire list. I'm going to be going with Chad Gable versus Gunther 3 for the Intercontinental Championship. We were absolutely blessed that this was a free television match, that we didn't have to wait for it to be on a PLE. Now, the fact that this match was on free TV has its ups and it has its downs. The up is that it got to be seen by millions of people, and millions of people got to witness just how good not just Gunther but Chad Gable is. Chad Gable being one of those hidden gems that many people didn't really truly realize how good he was. And this match kind of served as a coming out party for Chad Gable, who demonstrated to the world that he is incredibly amazing in the ring. Now, the big downside of this being a free TV match is the fact that it has commercials. This had about 2-3 commercials in between during the match. This was also the main event, so they didn't hesitate to toss commercials in there because the WWE and USA knew that a lot of people were watching. And when you have that many commercials, it creates too many stop and starts within the match that takes away from a lot of the match flow, a flow that would have been unimpeded if this had been at a PLE. The other thing is that because this was the main event, we can predict when the match is about to end because we can just look at the clock and realize that, well, we're running out of time. If this was a PLE where there's no time constraints, we wouldn't have known when the final sequence was actually happening. So it removes a little bit of that mystique when you're on free TV because you can just predict when the match is about to end by simply just looking at your clock. But these are absolute nitpicks because the match itself, what we were able to watch when they weren't on commercials, was absolutely brilliant. This is easily Chad Gable's best match of his entire main roster career. This is arguably one of Gunther's best. Now, Gunther has a Rolodex of fantastic matches, and this is up there with one of my favorite ones. Not only was the match fantastic in the ring because we have the incredible Gunther who can make every move seem deadly, and then we have the technically proficient and low-key high flyer in Chad Gable who were just putting on fireworks in the ring. But aside from the in-ring work, this match was really emotional because a lot of us really believed that Chad Gable had earned this moment, that this was finally Chatty Daddy's time to shine, and we even had his family and his little kids in the front row. Everything was pointing to this is the moment that Gunther finally drops the championship and we finally crown Chad Gable as the next coming of Kurt Angle. So when the stakes are this high, when people are so behind a natural babyface, the emotions in the arena are just so palpable. The crowd was absolutely bananas for this match. The people at home were on the edge of their seat. This is exactly why free TV can sometimes deliver just incredible matches, and this is the best example of the best free TV match. This is easy my top 10. On number 9, we have a bit of a surprise. This match to me came out of nowhere. I thought that this was going to be a bit of a throwaway match, and then it ended up being one of the most entertaining matches on this card and one of the best women's matches of the entire year. We have Bianca Belair versus Io Sky. Similar to the Chad Gable storyline before, this was Io Sky's coming out party to the main roster fans. fans. People that had been watching NXT Black and Gold knew how good Io Sky was. The hardcore knew how good she was. She just hadn't been given an opportunity to showcase that in a singles environment to the more casual, broader audience of the WWE. This was also her coming out party to reveal to the world that Io Sky is absolutely incredible. What many people thought was going to be a low-key squash match turned into an 18-minute slugfest between these two. These two just had impeccable chemistry in the ring, and the Puerto Rican audience fell in love with Io Sky and just gave this match an extra jolt of energy that it didn't frankly need, because the ladies were already cooking in the ring. But when you're cooking in the ring and when the audience appreciates what you're doing and they're cooking for you as well, you have this recipe that just makes this match feel extra special for the people that are watching at home on their TVs. There were numerous moments where we genuinely believed that Super Bianca was about to lose to Io Sky, but we knew deep down inside that Bianca Belair wasn't going to lose. Still, there was that inkling of hope, and that inkling of hope is what I think really drove the match fever to as high as it got. This is one of the best matches of the year and one of my favorite women's matches of all time. And number 8, we have one of the best tag team matches of the year, because this year the tag team titles were stuck at the very top of the card with just main eventers, which it does lead to some frustration with other great tag teams not getting an opportunity to be showcased, but it also meant that the tag titles were heavily presented and felt very important throughout the year. And because they felt important, they were given meaningful spots on PLEs, and they were giving really meaningful matches. This is being one of them. We have Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn taking on members of the Judgment Day, Finn Balor and Damien Priest, in a Steel City street fight that was so good. Look, normally I don't love overbooked matches where people get involved and there's a lot of shenanigans happening. As you can see, number 9 and number 10 didn't have any of that, but this is an incredibly overbooked mess that I fell in love with. And I think I'm more okay with the overbooked nature of this because it was a street fight, and it was a branded street fight for the city of Pittsburgh as well. So we had Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, the two Canadians that love hockey, dressing up as Pittsburgh Penguins hockey players. We had a crazy swanton from the second story of the arena onto Dominic Mysterio. We had so many cool table spots, garbage can spots. Everything about this was just so chaotic, and it worked for me, dude. I understand the criticism of just how overbooked this became, because this basically became a 6v2 at some point, with every member of the Judgment Day getting involved in here. We had Rhea Ripley get involved. We had Dominic Mysterio get involved. Like, everyone was in here, and it just got admittedly a little bit too chaotic. But again, I feel like because this was a street fight, it allowed for these crazy shenanigans to, at the very least, feel at a home and feel like they make sense. Plus, it gave us a really kind of out of nowhere title change. I did not predict Judgment Day to be beating Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for these titles. That was a pleasant surprise. Number 7 is going to make you remember how low-key kind of fire WWE Payback was this year, because it had some fantastic bangers. And look no further than one of the best women's matches of the year, the best women's cage match that I've ever seen in Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus. I'm gonna be honest with you, I shit on this match leading into it. I was confident that this match was gonna be a stinker. I was confident that the cage was going to make it difficult for these two ladies to cook. Now, leading up to this match, they didn't have like the greatest of chemistry. They weren't having the best one-on-one matches, but this solidified that these two are just gems of their generation. So I am happy to admit that I need to swallow my words and apologize to these two, because they ended up putting on a wonderful showcase of women's wrestling. Was it overbooked there at the end with Zoe Stark? Sure, that's fine. But again, you know, the story leading into things with Zoe Stark being the protege of Trish Stratus kind of allowed me to forgive it. The cage in this match was not limiting in any way, shape, or form. These ladies used the cage in some of the most creative cage spots that I've seen in a very long time. Far and away my favorite one of these spots is Trish Stratus dangling from one leg over the other side of the cage. That was cool. Look, if I'm Trish Stratus, I don't think I'd come back to wrestling again because of just how good of a swan song this would be to my career. This is one of Trish's best matches of her entire illustrious career, and same with Becky Lynch. Again, I'm telling you, Payback ended up being a low-key heater of a PLE. It's worth going back and rewatching the whole thing. Fellas, the holidays are here. I'm already in the mood. I'm wearing my Jingle Bell Rock shirt, and it's gonna be bustling, it's gonna be busy, and you can't forget to eat healthy. And for that, I've got the perfect sponsor for today's video, Factor. Factor is America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service. Factor is gonna make sure that you're eating well for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved, straight-to-your-door meals. With Factor meals being delivered right to your door, you're gonna be saving a tremendous amount of time because you won't have to do any grocery shopping, you won't have to do any meal prepping, you won't have to stress out about what to make. It's just coming directly to your door based on your preferences and what you want to eat that week. And Factor offers a variety of different meals to fit different types of diets. If you're being calorie conscious, you could look at their Calorie Smart options, which are meals that are 550 calories or less. If you want lots of protein, you could look at their Protein Plus, which comes with meals with 30 plus grams of protein. They got keto options, vegan options, veggie options, you name it. So this December, get Factor and enjoy some fresh, tasty, delicious meals that are conveniently delivered right to your door. Just simply pick the meals that you want, wait for them to be conveniently delivered to your door, toss them in the microwave, and within 2 minutes, you're eating a nice, healthy meal with no hassle or prep. So head on over to factormeals.com/Santi50 and use code Santi50 to get 50% off. That's code Santi50 at factormeals.com/Santi50 to get 50% off. That's a pretty wicked deal, y'all, so go check it out. Now back to the video. At 6, we have a match type that I once again have to eat my words on because I shit all over Elimination Chamber matches, and of course the men end up putting one of the greatest matches of the entire year in the men's Elimination Chamber match for that United States Championship between Austin Theory, Bronson Reed, Johnny Gargano, Montez Ford, Seth frickin' Rollins, and Damian Priest. The reason why I love this match is because it showcased why each of these guys is just individually incredible. The biggest highlight of this match ended up being Montez Ford, who walked away from this match looking like an absolute future megastar. Now, did they end up capitalizing on that throughout 2023? No, but the world got to see how good of a potential single star Montez Ford can be with some of the absolutely crazy stuff that he was pulling during this match. The obvious highlight from Montez Ford is that cannonball from the very top of the cage as he was dangling. That was so cool. Then there was the awesome Hurricanrana spot with Johnny Gargano, Bronson Reed looking like an absolute monster where it took everyone working together to take him out, Austin Theory looking like the snively heel that he's so good at playing, and Damian Priest being that ominous presence in this match. All of them got to single-handedly showcase themselves as future stars of the WWE, while Seth Rollins demonstrating why he's still at the top of his game. I typically don't like Elimination Chamber matches. I've been very vocal about that. I've always found that the cage structure is very limiting with how low the ceiling is. However, in recent years, they've made the ceiling higher, probably because of how limiting the lower ceiling used to make high-flying moves, and also the fact that the pods kind of get in the way and it prevents people from really being able to get around the ring. I just never really liked the match concept, and I said, okay, let me give this a chance. Let me go into this with an open view, and they ended up changing my mind. I'm excited for Elimination Chamber moving forward. It was usually the match type that I just don't care about the least, and now I just want to see more Elimination Chamber matches because of this. And number 5, we're going to stay on Elimination Chamber, another heater PLE that WWE delivered this year, but this time we're going to go with the main event of Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn. Similar to what I was saying with Io Sky versus Bianca Belair, where the crowd added to this match even though it didn't need to because the match itself in the ring was already objectively very, very good. The crowd just elevated that to another level with how hot they were for everyone in this match. They were booing Roman out of the building and cheering Sami Zayn as if he was the second coming of Christ. The Montreal crowd is already infamous for how loud and rowdy they can get, and this is the crescendo of that notoriety. They were incredibly loud for the entire show, but then for this match, they were nuclear. In terms of Roman Reigns matches this year, this is my favorite singles match that he had this year. I like the fact that it wasn't ludicrously overbooked. It was a little bit, but more so with story narrative, not with people jumping in to help Roman Reigns, because that became the formula of Roman Reigns matches later on in the year, and they didn't utilize that here. Instead, they really tugged at our heartstrings with the relationship between Jey Uso and Sami Zayn. This was also during the fever pitch of the Bloodline storyline, which added even more to the stakes of this match. Yes, the crowd was very good. Yes, the match itself was very good. Yes, the in-ring storytelling was fantastic, but all of that almost doesn't matter because the lead up to this match was an all-timer. This was one of the greatest builds to a match, to a final boss fight that I've experienced as a WWE fan. And what's wild is that there was a portion of WWE fans that genuinely believed that there was a chance that Sami Zayn might actually win this. This wasn't like a foregone conclusion where, okay, Roman's just gonna walk away with this. We thought, we believed, we had hope that Sami could actually pull this off, and it was so close. And that hope really drove the emotional aspect for me as a viewer throughout the entire match. Banger. This is an absolute classic for me. From here on out, you're going to realize just how good WrestleMania 39 was. Even though there were 40 matches on the card, there were just some absolute all-timers on here. And we'll start off with the one that I have at number 4, the best women's match of the year. I have Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley for the then SmackDown Women's Championship. Look, any other year, this should have been the night one main event because it was so good. Unfortunately, it was going head to head with the Bloodline storyline, and the Bloodline storyline just had so many different moving parts that warranted them main eventing night 1 and night 2, so it kind of shifted these two to being earlier on in the show. Still, they did everything in their power to steal the goddamn night because this match is an absolute all-time classic and one of the greatest, maybe the best women's match that I've ever seen. For a lot of crap that Charlotte Flair gets from the hardcore internet wrestling community, this is not one of those nights where she deserved any crap because she showed out. She made Rhea Ripley look like the megastar that she ended up becoming because of this match. Yes, Rhea Ripley had won championships at WrestleMania before. She was a main eventer, but this was the match that didn't just make Rhea Ripley a perennial main eventer, it made her a megastar, not in the women's division, in the entirety of wrestling across the globe. And Rhea Ripley defeating somebody like a Charlotte Flair in this 25-minute classic just really cemented that spot for her moving forward. So for all those Charlotte haters, just come back to this match, remember how good Charlotte can actually be in the ring, and remember that she can help make superstars in this business. There were no shenanigans, no cheating, no involvement from anybody. This was just a fantastic one-on-one match between two humans that are at the top of their physical game. Doesn't matter that this is a women's match, doesn't matter whether this was a men's match. All that matters is that this is objectively an amazing wrestling showcase. There were moves in here that we haven't seen since because I think that these two just saved them to the very most important match of their career. Some German suplexes that turned into crazy ass moonsaults, some of the wildest 2.99999 kickouts that I've ever seen, and an incredible ending there with the top of the rope riptide for Rhea Ripley to walk out with the victory. The WWE also showcased these two as larger than life characters with their grandiose entrances, their attires, everything about this just checked every single box for a WrestleMania showcase type of match. I think under most circumstances, this would have been the best match of all of WrestleMania. However, WrestleMania ended up being quite a bit of a banger of a show, so it's not the best WrestleMania match in my opinion. Still, the best women's match of the entire year and one of the best matches of the year, period. And number 3, I have another WrestleMania match. In fact, this is the match that most people that are going to be creating these types of lists are going to have as their best match of the year. And objectively, it is a fantastic match. However, it's missing that one je ne sais quoi that makes it a special showcase for me as a wrestling fan and the type of wrestling fan that I am. That is the Intercontinental Championship match at WrestleMania 39 between Gunther, Sheamus, and Drew McIntyre. This is one of the meatiest, slappiest, most hard-hitting matches that I've ever seen in my life. The only reason why I don't have this higher is just the lack of really deep, intricate storyline that I tend to love. Don't get me wrong, there's a story here. The story is that these 3 guys just want to beat the shit out of each other, and they absolutely accomplished that because, like I said, this is one of the gnarliest, hardest hitting matches that I've ever seen. However, just the lack of a bigger narrative is what holds this back for me being the best match of the year. However, if this is your best match of the year, I totally get it. I wouldn't argue against you. This was also the best match of night 2 of WrestleMania, a night which admittedly underwhelmed, but this did not underwhelm in any capacity. You basically just take the incredible match that Gunther and Sheamus had at Clash at the Castle the year prior, and now you add Drew McIntyre to that, and what you have is just this casserole of chaos, a casserole of chaos that was delicious. Look, a lot of us were already high on Gunther going into this match, but to me, this is the match that solidified that, like, Gunther is going to be a world champion in the WWE at some point, because not only was he a part of a fantastic match, but I think he was the best part of this match. Gunther was like 3 different wrestlers in this match. At one point, he was a bruiserweight. At another moment, he was a technical proficient master, and then he even turned into like a high flyer. Dude, this match is crazy. The other aspect of this match that I really love that I think usually goes under the radar is the camera work, because sometimes you would just have some crazy move coming from off screen into your screen that you aren't seeing. And sure, maybe that doesn't really work in terms of impressing the people that are watching there live, but when you're watching at home and you see a brogue kick come out of nowhere right into the middle of your screen is pretty crazy. The other reason why I love this match is just because it really mirrored the lines between reality and scripted, just because of how hard hitting this match was. Like, all of these guys walked away with real bruises, with genuine welts that you can't fake. So next time you hear somebody, oh, wrestling is fake, anyone can do it, they're just actors, show them this match and show them just how nasty their chests are at the end of this match, and ask them if they're willing to go through that. This match is fantastic. Again, if it's your favorite match of the year, all power to you. Okay, look, at number 2, we're gonna have a huge debate, because this is, to me, what professional wrestling is all about, but I understand that this is nowhere near as good of a technical match as what we've had before, and that is Bad Bunny versus Damien Priest in Puerto Rico in that Puerto Rican street fight. This, to me, is everything that professional wrestling should be. And what I mean by that is that the purpose of professional wrestling is to entertain you. And usually they entertain you with storytelling, with how good the match is in the ring. So I can say with confidence that I was entertained by this match from beginning to end. And I would say that this is the match that entertained me the most out of every single match this year. Whether it was Damien Priest making his entrance to an ocean of booze, Bad Bunny's incredible all-timer entrance where it turned into a reverse concert with everyone in San Juan, Puerto Rico singing his song to him with that drone shot. That entrance, by the way, one of my favorite entrances of all time. Whether it was Bad Bunny having a very good street fight with Damien Priest, shout out to Damien Priest for carrying Bad Bunny into one of the most entertaining clashes of the entire year, or whether it was the crazy overbooked nature of this match. Yeah, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't like when matches get crazy overbooked and there's a ton of interference. This is where I make the exception because of the level of entertainment value that all of this provided. You had the classic Judgment Day interference, but you knew in the back of your head that this was going to lead to somebody coming out to help Bad Bunny, and it led to the LWO coming out, Savio Vega coming out, the return of Carlito, and it was just magical. Bad Bunny just is such an impressive human being. He doesn't need to do this. He's already so much more famous than anyone on the WWE roster, and yet here he is cooking up fantastic street fights and taking some nasty punishment as well. Yes, we need to credit Damien Priest for helping carry a novice like Bad Bunny to a fantastic match, but I have to give so much props to Bad Bunny as well for trusting Damien Priest that Damien Priest will make these moves look disgusting while keeping him safe. And like I said, Bad Bunny doesn't need to do this, and yet he does because of the love that he has for this sport, for this business, and you feel it through the screen. You can feel it when he's doing moves. You can feel it when he's making his entrance. You can feel it when he's doing backstage segments, that the dude just loves this. So again, I admit that this might just be a personal choice. It hits me in all of the right places as a wrestling fan based on what I like. But if you were to have this even off of your top 10, I don't think that I would debate you. You just like different things that I like. But to me, the entertainment value from this is just too big to ignore, too big for me to not credit as one of my favorite, best matches of the entire year. It was a travesty that this didn't main event is what I'll end it at. At number 1, we have what I think is the best Bloodline match of the entirety of the Bloodline saga and storyline, and it doesn't involve Roman Reigns. And when it doesn't involve Roman Reigns, it means that it doesn't get overbooked like crazy, and you just don't end up groaning at the end like you do with most Roman Reigns matches these days. That being the incredible, majestic, all-time main event night 1 classic between the Usos, Kevin Owens, and Sami Zayn for the WWE Undisputed Tag Team titles. This raised some eyebrows as to why this ended up main eventing over Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair, especially after how good that match was. But to their credit, not only did they follow up that match, but they delivered one of the best matches in WrestleMania history. And I think there was some fear at the time that this match, at the very least from a scale point of view, wouldn't feel as important without Roman Reigns being involved, but that ended up being incredibly wrong. And the reason for that is because of how good the basically year-long storyline that was told leading up to this very moment. The story of Sami Zayn trying to be accepted as a member of the Bloodline, Kevin Owens being able to see right through the fugazi that the Bloodline was putting on Sami Zayn, ultimately leading to Sami turning on Kevin so that he can prove himself to the Bloodline, only for him to then turn on the Bloodline to save Kevin, and then the 2 months of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn still hating each other leading up to this match. It was just storytelling at its best. This is the best culmination of a storyline ever. And you can say that, well, this wasn't the culmination of the Bloodline storyline. This is only the 3rd inning. To me, it's the culmination of Sami Zayn's Bloodline storyline, and it was beautiful. There was absolutely zero interference from anyone in the Bloodline. There were no shenanigans. It was just 2 tag teams going on for 30 plus minutes, putting on an all-time classic. The Usos reminded everyone why the Young Bucks have nothing on them. This is the best tag team in the history of the WWE. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens showed the world that you don't have to be the prototypical super jacked WWE superstar to be in a main event spot at WrestleMania. The landscape of the WWE has changed in the fact that these 4 are main eventing a WrestleMania. The tag titles are main eventing a WrestleMania. Really told the world that we're in an era of professional wrestling where storyline is king. And the story really was the main driving force of getting people to care, feeling like the stakes were higher than ever before. It made the crowd be absolutely electric. And when I say the crowd, I mean those that were actually in attendance attendance. And that's difficult for a WrestleMania main event because they've already sat for 4+ hours of a show. In recent memory, WrestleMania main event crowds have been quiet, not for this. And yes, we can talk about the story for hours if we want to, but the match itself was also fantastic. And so was the commentary team. The 1D! No one has ever kicked out of the 1D! I'm telling you, everything from the production to the team that was narrating this match, to the wrestlers, to the crowd, everything about this was just perfection. And that is why I think it's the best match of 2023. All right, folks, that's it. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much for doing so. Please let me know what your favorite match of the year is, what you would have maybe left off of this list, or what you would have added. This is your opportunity to sound off. All right, y'all, I'm done. Get out of here.